Let's take you to Parliament now, because the minority in Parliament say despite their strong disagreement with the Supreme Court in their judgment annulling the election of James Torkornoo, they will not block the approval of Chief Justice Nominee Gertrude Torkornoo. Justice Torkornoo was part of the 7-member panel which decided the case. The minority had insisted no decision will be taken on her nomination until the full judgment in the case was out. Speaking on behalf of the minority in Parliament, MP for Boku Central, Mahama Yariga, explained that despite their strong disagreement with the Chief Justice nominee, they believe she's qualified to be Chief Justice.
The Chief Justice nominee, Justice Gertrude Torkornoo, would be true to her publicly professed textualist approach to constitutional interpretation. Whilst the clear language of the Constitution was dealing with qualification to be a member of Parliament, the Supreme Court veered off and was dealing with eligibility or qualification of a person to contest as a member of Parliament. I'm quoting the Supreme Court directly in their reasoning. They actually used that. They said, we are dealing with eligibility or qualification of a person to contest as a member of Parliament. But the Supreme Court talks about qualification to be a member of Parliament. It is after the contest that you then get sworn in to be a member of Parliament. Article 94 is not talking about eligibility to contest elections. It is about becoming a member of Parliament. This only takes place at the point of swearing in. Instead of fidelity to the text of the Constitution, which the CJ nominee professed as a preferred approach to constitutional interpretation, she succumbed to what we believe was a flawed precedent set earlier by the Supreme Court in the ex parte Zaneto case. That is the Republic versus High Court, General Jurisdiction, Accra, ex parte Zaneto Rawlings, Ashite, and National Democratic Congress Interested Parties, number 2 of 2015 to 2016, 1 Supreme Court Ghana Law Report, page 92, which this current court relied on, was wrongly decided by an earlier panel of the Supreme Court. Zaneto would have been qualified anyway if the Supreme Court was to conclude that Article 94 deals with qualification to be a member of Parliament. She would have been qualified anyway if they had adopted the position that we're adopting today, and not eligibility to contest elections to be a member of Parliament, which was what was in issue in the Zaneto case. In the Zaneto case, it was eligibility to contest, because the matter was before the contest. If even we admit that there should be some housekeeping matters at the point of filing nomination papers, that should be the appropriate province of legislation and not judicial enactment. What they did was to enact laws, the Supreme Court, not to interpret the text of the Constitution of Ghana. James Torkornoo is gearing up to contest the by-election in Asin North, which has been brought about by the Supreme Court's decision. In that regard, we, the members of the Appointments Committee representing the National Democratic Congress, NDC, will not withhold our approval of the Chief Justice nominee by consensus. We will not withhold our approval of her by consensus. Her CV reveals a person of considerable experience, having served as a judge from the High Court to the Court of Appeal and ultimately at the Supreme Court. Women who have acquitted themselves should be given opportunities to occupy key national offices. Even as we disagree with her jurisprudence, we find her qualified to occupy the high office of Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana.
Greenlight Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante is joining us right from the House with more on the demands by the minority. So Kweku, you've asked the minority leadership why they are going ahead to approve her despite the disagreement with this latest judgment on James Torkornoo. Are you getting any response on this?
So, well, yes, they say that Chief Justice nominee Gertrude Torkornoo is duly qualified, and that if you look at her CV, there is a lot that she has done that puts her in a position to be able to deliver as Chief Justice. despite their strong disagreement with her decision in the James Gyakye case. And so despite all this serious disagreement they have with her, they are giving this green light that will make sure that this approval will move through. Of course, it wouldn't have meant much, really, even if the minority said they were not going to approve her. The minority did not have the numbers. And if it did go to a vote, they would have lost. Given what we have seen in recent times, they would have lost. So they have now given their all clear, which simply, what they have simply done is to smoothen the process a little bit. It means that a secret vote will not be required, and that all that will be required will be a voice vote when the report is laid for her approval or otherwise. So that will be the significant position. If you look at today's business statement that we've just secured copies of, and very soon they will be moving to deal with this, what we understand is that this report will be taken today. The story we've just done is Justice Jones Doche, the acting Chief Justice, retiring. It means that the baton will go on to the next most senior judge to become the acting Chief Justice until a confirmation is sought. And that is not so tidy. That is what the government wants to avoid. They do not want the baton being passed on every now and then when the most senior judge retires, it has to go on. You need a substantive Chief Justice, and that is why the President has nominated Justice Gertrude Torkornoo. And so very, very, very soon, any moment from now, when the Speaker of Parliament gets in, we expect that the report of the committee will now be laid, will now be amended to reflect the new minority position that they approve of Gertrude Torkornoo's nomination. It will be now by consensus, and then the report will be laid, it will be debated, and then a voice vote will be taken, and then the Chief Justice nominee will be approved or otherwise if the vote boy says so. But normally, when this is consensus, the approval is set, and the President can this evening or early tomorrow swear in Justice Gertrude Torkornoo as Chief Justice.
Any reaction from the majority side yet?
We expect the majority side, the majority leader himself, to hold a news conference any moment from now. The understanding we had was that the majority leader, Chairman Samos, was just about to address a press conference that has stalled for some moments now. We understand they have to do some background talks, among other things. They will come in and give us a certain idea of how the process will unravel. Normally, because it's going to be by consensus, there's no fear of a rejection. And so as soon as this majority press conference is out of the way, we expect that the Speaker of Parliament will come in, gavel the House in session, and the report of the Appointments Committee will now be taken and approval may be granted.
And we'll be back to the issue about the Chief Justice nominee shortly, but they've been addressing issues also regarding the World Bank country director's comments on the deals with the independent power producers. Any update on that? And what's the concern, really, of the minority side? So,
Mr. Pierre Laporte, the country director of World Bank, has stirred considerable controversy since his interview with George Lafitte, where he said that part of the reason why the economy is struggling currently, when government finances is in shambles, is due to some of the take-or-pay contracts that were signed by the erstwhile John Dramani Mahama government. The minority have been wading in, and according to John Jinapor, who's the former deputy power minister and currently the ranking member on the Mines and Energy Committee, Mr. Pierre Laporte is getting himself muddied in local politics, and that if he got his facts right, he would not have made some of the comments he made. They insist that none of the contracts that were signed by the erstwhile John Mahama government can be blamed for the current economic challenges, and that the current economic difficulty is simply down to government mismanagement and overspending, and that Pierre Laporte and government assigns should not seek to put this in the basket of the former President John Dramani Mahama, and that he did his best when he signed all these arrangements. And so they've been fighting back. They've rather been insisting that the majority side, the government side, have actually extended some of these contracts. And if they were making the argument that some of these contracts were bad, when the contracts expired, they should have just let them go. But they have extended some for 15 years, and so they cannot keep blaming for.
And quickly, if you can hear me, we know that the House is resuming after recess. Any other activities expected on the floor? What will happen, I mean, on day one after recess? Kwegu, I was just asking about, Parliament returning from recess. Quite a lot of activities tabled before the House, correct? Can you update us on some of them? Okay.
Yes, the agenda is a bit light today. If you look at the first day of Parliament resuming, it's a little bit light. What we expect that once the report of the Appointments Committee on Justice Gertrude Torkornoo is dealt with, the House may take adjournment and come in tomorrow.
Quick Asante there from Parliament, and we'll be monitoring that exercise, the approval of the report that will pave way for the appointment of Chief Justice nominee Gertrude Torkornoo as the substantive CJ for the lawmaking chamber. We'll still keep our eyes there as we're expecting her to appear and make a public statement as the acting Justice Jones Doche will be retiring in a few days from now. We'll keep watching that space and bring you updates. But